Picnic Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
I am Sure Sports. You know me there. I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am Sure Sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am Sure Sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know no game play, that me not say it. If me never see no game, me not know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices, add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
Now, I wonder why this is the case. So let me take this out. I'm jumping ahead here. Good afternoon, everyone. This is your host, Stan Cronky, of today's program. I'm stepping in for Manning's man, who's away, as we've talked about yesterday, on national duty. And I have to talk to him about this introduction he has here about Argentina and all that stuff, because it's not working for me anymore. It's dated, needs to get with the times. My sidekick and my main man and my partner, Mr. Andre Fortune.
Yes.
Mr. Rich person, whatever it is that fortune entails. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you doing?
I am doing well. And I noticed that Gunner's boss is in the chat. And Gunner's boss, we're here to talk real football, not American football. And by the way, Patrick Mahomes threw 2 passes that should have been caught for touchdowns yesterday. They weren't caught. So you can't blame him for the loss. How you doing, Andre? We're here to talk football. We're not going to talk any American football. We got us, boss. And by the way, got us, boss. We don't have any number for you to call it to beat me. So that's not happening today. You have to do so in the chat. But how are you doing, Andre? I'm doing well. How are you?
I as I like to say, I couldn't be better. Nothing to complain about at the moment. Don't know what's around the corner, but at the moment, nothing to complain about.
So this is football week, or I call it real football week, not American football week. And we have had a lot of games played, a lot to talk about. And I'm glad I'm off this weekend so I can come in and talk football in the middle of the day versus after work, which is normally after 7, 8 p.m. So it's good to be here to talk football with those in the comment section and with yourself. And we have much to talk about. Yesterday's game where Trinidad had an opportunity, which they didn't maximize. And then just as important, the game this evening with the Jamaica team. And I've heard the camp is feeling really good. I hope it's not the same feeling we had before the Panama first game when we had COVID, because that was a good feel. I heard somebody talk about that. It didn't work out well. I hope it's one of those good feel with a good outcome, great production, players play well, and we can have a good feeling. Because I haven't been feeling great all day now. I've been thinking about the last game and perturbed that we gave up the second goal. Because if you're going with a 1-1 draw, you know you probably can score 2 goals away from home. And if you draw in that game, you would have been ahead, right? So that was an unfortunate goal we gave up in the second half. But what are your thoughts? First of all, we'll jump to the Trinidad game yesterday. Then we can dive into the Jamaica game. And we'll go with it. What we're going to do also is talk about the teams that are the team tonight, because I know your and Kyle's team that you put up yesterday, especially I think you sort of initiated and Kyle jumped in, was much more digestible to the commenters than my team. So I want to talk about what I suggested, which I know the coach wasn't going to do anyway. We'll talk about your team. But what are your thoughts about Trinidad's game yesterday?
Look, it's there's a number of different ways to look at what happened yesterday. There are people that would look at it from the perspective that Trinidad and Tobago got a result and competed against America, and that's good. But that was essentially the second half of the game. So overall, while the result was 2-1 yesterday after 90 minutes, over 180 minutes plus minutes, the score was 4-2. And the objective of the game yesterday was to score 4 goals to overcome the result of the boat leg to qualify for Copa America. So that did not happen. And this is we just got to put it in perspective. The goal yesterday had to be to win the game over the 2 legs and to qualify for Copa America. There's still another chance. The idea that the one thing that I would take from the game that I think is meaningful is that yesterday, Trinidad and Tobago competed against America. It was competitive, okay, unlike previous matches. And I know that there are quite a few people that don't believe that we can compete against America because America is, and when I say people, these are people in the region, in the Caribbean, in Trinidad in particular, because America has a population of 350 million people, and Trinidad is just 1.5 million people. What last night reminded me of is the fact that in the 80s and in the 90s, when we were around 1.2 million people, and I think America was around 250 million people, we were competitive. We were competing. There was not that big disparity that's been shown over the period of time. Now, last night was a very good physical effort. And I wish that people would understand it to mean that if we do our part, we can compete in the region and compete successfully in the region. Because when you look back, look, I don't know that, and maybe you can help me here, but I don't know that there's another player from the region that has been a top goal scorer, leading goal scorer, winning the Champions League, winning the English League, winning the FA Cup, other than Dwight York. There's not an American that's been in the leading goal scorer. There's not a Mexican. There's not a Jamaican. There's nobody from the region. Okay, and so we have to believe that if we could have produced Dwight York, then we can do it again, and we need to work towards accomplishing that. We have to believe the most successful team in the world of any team has been the West Indies team. Do you agree with that?
In the region?
No, the most successful team on the whole, the West Indies, dominated cricket for 50 years.
Well, we got to be careful with that. We got to be careful with that statement.
But let's say the most dominant team.
Right, because you look at like World Cups, for example, Australia's won about 8, so you got to be careful with that, which is for a period of time between mid-70s to mid-80s, late 80s. Right. For a period of time,
that was
dominant.
The most dominant team.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And it came out of a region with less than 6 million people.
True.
Right? And dominated countries like Australia, like England, like India with much bigger population.
I would say region with 6 million English speaking, right? So
right, English speaking, yes. English speaking, the English speaking Caribbean. So if you look at that history, we have a history of being able to be competitive. And I think today we don't seem to be embracing that. We seem to believe that we cannot compete. So therefore, we kind of speaking that into realization. I think we need to change our approach to it. And that game last night, hopefully, the fact that we didn't qualify for Copa America is huge, at least up to last night. There's still another chance. There's a game to come. But I hope that it could put the people in charge of football to start believing that we can develop the game, develop our young people in a way to compete meaningfully in the region and beyond.
But Andre, not to go into social issues on this sports program, but I think they're intertwined in a lot of respects. So if you think about I'm going to say developing countries of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how they have operated over time. If you go from the 60s to the 70s, 80s, and to now, it's almost like you think about people's financial situation, where those who are affluent, are countries which are affluent, there seems to be a widening of the gap between those in developing worlds and the more industrialized world, just like individuals, even those in industrialized countries. So wouldn't it be expected that, think about it this way. So look at the Canada team, for example,
mm-hmm.
the US team, the British mm-hmm. team, how they are comprised of people who migrated to those countries. And you could say for the English-speaking Caribbean, but you don't have the reverse. You don't have British-born persons that are not of, say, that country's descent, right? Who are playing for those countries. What I mean by that, so I don't have a lot of migration from the UK to the Jamaica or from the US to Jamaica. I have the reverse migration.
Mm-hmm.
So won't I be losing a lot of intellectual capital, a lot of productivity, people in terms of that migration that then actually comes back and play against me at some point? And it's not only for sports, it's in life in general, where we have what we call brain drain. A lot of intellectual capital migrate. And so even though you have people who are smart on the island, if I have 10 brilliant people and 9 is going to migrate, I'm going to be at a disadvantage. And that 9 is supplementing those in that country where they have a material number of people of a certain ilk. So shouldn't that be expected? And that's why we're seeing this disparity and the widening of the gap between those countries and us?
It shouldn't be expected. Look, we're talking about the game last night, and this is in reference to Trinidad and Tobago. In particular, Trinidad and Tobago is not considered, and to put it in context, what they used to call third world countries, right? Developing countries. Trinidad and Tobago does not fall within that category.
You're not going to disagree on that, but keep going.
That's the standard that they use.
No. Their standard needs to be revisited. Let's not use
That's not my standard.
What's the criteria for? I want to use the word third world.
I'm
not sure what second world mean anymore. That's an old term, which means China, Brazil, right? They're no longer third world, but they're deemed to be third world. So keep going.
Right. I don't buy into that, but this is the metrics that they use. But let's look at it.
By the way, people, we're going to come back to football, but it's important to I'm trying to put it in the context of football. Now. Yes.
I'm taking right back to football now. As far as what you mentioned, there are a lot of people that left the island, whether it's Trinidad and Tobago, anywhere else, that came out, as you mentioned. And we have to do a better job of providing opportunities for those people to contribute to our society, right? I know of one island in the Caribbean, or maybe there's a couple that actually reaching out to people in the diaspora to bring their expertise back to the island. People leave the island, go outside, get education, get experience, and we don't tap into that. Okay, because at minimum,
but Andre, I don't agree with that, right? Totally agree with you, which is, I'm always, I must say this about 10, 15 times already, which is, I look at the Jewish state and how they operate. You have a Jewish lineage, you're a Jewish citizen. And they go back, they support them, whether remotely or going there, they support them wholeheartedly, right? Mm-hmm. Conceptually, that's what we should be doing, but we don't necessarily do that. But keep going.
Right. So we need to be better at that. I don't subscribe to the idea that we are supposed to fall behind just because, right? Maybe we need to be creative. Maybe look, let's tie it back to football in the region. What it is, there's football have governing bodies, right? So there's CFU, there's CONCACAF, there's all these governing bodies. Do we know what we get from those bodies? Are we working? Last night, 3 days ago in Jamaica, on Saturday morning, the stadium was close to empty. Last night, there might have been a little bit more people in the stadium in Trinidad.
No, there were more people. Don't be humble with that. There were much more people.
Okay.
I watched the game. There were more people.
You got to leave
Not
a little
because
bit
we
of
have a
room.
Jamaican audience here. You're going to be pacifying this.
Yeah, but you got to.
There are much more people.
Wrong, right?
There were even people in the bleachers. Your bleachers are nice, by the way. Or they look nice on TV. Go ahead.
It should have been filled, though. When you consider the meaning of the game, it should have been filled with people, right? But for whatever reason, it wasn't in Trinidad last night. It wasn't in Jamaica. But that's a source of revenue for football, to try to help develop the football. And there's people I know people who are willing to help, to contribute to football in the region, wherever they're from, and they're not allowed to do so. They're not allowed to do so. So I think I'm not subscribing to the idea that we're supposed to fall behind. I believe that if we believe in our people and we put the right effort in, I think, look, the Under-17 World Cup is going on. Canada dominates the region along with the USA, and Canada did not get out the group. They had 0 points. I don't know if you're aware of that at the Under-17.
Yeah, which suggests the rest of the world are further ahead. So we're even further behind than we may think we are. If they down the original, not doing well,
behind,
right?
But we can catch up.
Right.
We can catch up, but we have to be realistic. We have to know when we are making real progress, and not be celebrating false stats, so to speak.
I think it's difficult though when you're I'm going to call my own term a migration country, right? When you're exporter of intellectual capital, exporter of people, and wait, here's what I think about it: the best people are going to migrate because they have more opportunities to maximize their earnings. And this is a money game in life. Life is but a money game. You have financial resources, you can do a lot. What we have done well is expatriate money back to the cap, right? We send money back. That's right. That's not without saying. That goes without saying, which is we do a good job, people are doing that. But we need more than just to send money back to the countries in the Caribbean. We need to also figure out how the countries can leverage all that we have in play in terms of intellectual capital, which we have all come here and probably have increased that. All that intellect needs to somehow be migrated back to the Caribbean in some way, shape, or form, whether remotely or in person, to assist those islands. And those on the island has to facilitate that, because they don't. A lot of times they don't. They have this attitude, which is, you leave, so why don't you stay where you are? You guys to stay where you are. Versus welcoming you back and creating an environment where you want to come back. And again, people, we're supposed to be talking football here, but it's not mutually exclusive. It's related. So,
well, we're talking football because the behavior is affecting football. Because when you look at the results over time, you look at the game last night, it means that we can get to the point where we can compete. But you got to build a foundation, right? We have to know where to look for answers. Do you know who has won the most Under-17 World Cups?
Actually, no.
It's Nigeria, I think it is, right?
Are they really under 17?
Yeah, but they've won it, right?
Let's be careful with that, Let's be careful with that.
They have won it. So we have to look around us and look towards success.
Look, I don't disagree that we have to find ways to put framework and structures in place to help create foundations that allow you, whatever you're doing, whether it's football or otherwise, to have something that you build that's well situated, it's sustainable, and it's going to help, people in general. We have to do that. And so you mentioned Dwight York, but Dwight York is an aberration. But you had more players then. You had Stern John, you had Latapi, you had a bunch of different players who came through the ranks who did well, right?
Right.
Maybe not at Dwight York level, but Dwight York is an aberration. He's in a different class.
What we didn't do is that we did not piggyback on so to speak, on Dwight York's success. We didn't believe that, okay, we've gotten Dwight York there. Where's the next Dwight York?
Yeah.
Work to find the next Dwight York.
Right. So let me just say this, everyone. Today's a short program, and we could digress, like some people I know way back when. We digress quite a bit today. But let's talk about the Trinidad game yesterday, because I think we should talk on that. And then we'll jump into the Jamaica game. So for the Trinidad game, I watched the game, actually, most of it, because you and I spoke a little bit. And I thought you had a chance to come up with a result yesterday, a positive result. So even though you won 2-1, I was somewhat disappointed because in the first game, well, they probably mirror each other in some respects. Here's what I mean. So in the first game, you had a red card in the 30-something minute.
Yeah.
Right? They had a similar time for their red card.
Yeah.
They didn't break you down to the 80-something. Right. They didn't break it. They scored first against you with 11. And subsequent to that, they didn't adapt their team. I was very surprised about how the coach didn't adapt their team given the circumstances, which I'm down to 10 men. Let me solidify my team. Trinidad doesn't penetrate really well. Let me close the middle up, and then maybe do counter-attacking football. They were doing that really well. They were still wide open.
Right.
You scored two good goals. Well, some people may say 2 really bad goals, given the keeper. Some may say 2 very good goals, because the ball was swerving on the second one. The first one was in the corner and a close range. So they may say, what about you scored 2 goals? A third chance where the number 9, I don't remember his name, a young kid, I think he's 18, got a breakaway and lacked composure to finish.
Right.
And there were other opportunities where you could have gotten behind them. So my view was, you had a chance yesterday. It's hard to score 5 goals if you just had needed 5 to win. But you could have scored 4, for example. And in the first game, if one hold on to the 80-something minute, even though they had chances, you could have probably lost 1 or 2-0. So if things went a little bit your way, you probably could have ended up progressing from that two-way tie that you had. So, but it does give some hope for Trinidad that when they went out to 10 men, you looked equal or even a little bit better. Even though I think they kept possession really well, and that if you keep on trying to enhance the program, and also a number of your players in the regular team, the first team that played in the Gold Cup, didn't play, right? So it's also bodes well for the team to say some players didn't play. Some players came in the second game, but they didn't play the first game. And some didn't play either game because they have some dispute with the FA, which, by the way, is a theme in the Caribbean, at least English-speaking Caribbean, where players and FA are at odds. And I think the inability to compromise is one of the biggest detriment to that relationship, where everybody think that they're right, nobody think that they can be wrong or they can give in some respects, and everybody hold their ground, and we have no solution. We have animosity, and you don't have good outcomes, right? And the outcome is showing. So it's unfortunate.
Look, you're right about the game appear to mirror each other. It was a little bit interesting to me, and this is where I think the real opportunity presented itself. Not just that the U.S. went down to 10 men. I think when I look at their starting position, a lot of times from goal kicks and such, it didn't seem it's not what one would expect from a team in that situation. It seemed like their starting position was a little bit higher than probably should have been, knowing that they play with 10 men, and that for me probably could have been exploited a little bit more by creating more chances, pushing players high up the pitch, because they were not the U.S. team. They didn't show the same resilience that we're accustomed seeing when a U.S. team play. I don't know if you agree with that.
No, and you and I talk about this, which is if you're playing against 10 men, then you have to have your wingers be wide, right? Along with your right and left back be wide. Spread the field out to create more gaps. Because now with 10 men, people who consolidate, they aggregate in the middle. They're trying to make sure you don't penetrate that. They will make the ball go wide, but make it wide. Make them make a decision. Right. You mark me out wide or you don't, so I have freedom. And I try to find a way to penetrate. And now the U.S. team, we talk about style of play and system. They didn't adapt their system for the circumstances. They played the same way as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and it was a bit interesting. And I heard some comments last night in the post game by some of the people doing the game on T&T, and it's painful to hear them say in a scenario like this, if Trinidad was a better team. That's really, that's hard to wrap your head around. It's disrespectful, right? In my opinion. And I think those are the, if nothing else, these are the moments that's supposed to motivate us to do the work that we need to do when nobody is looking, so that we can take advantage of these opportunities.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Now let's jump to the Jamaica versus Canada game. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, that's, every pre-game, every window that I've listened to interviews about the Jamaican team or read anything, you would hear that the guys are in good spirits. The guys are getting along, which is, they're all professionals, they're supposed to. Hopefully that could translate onto the pitch tonight in a way that could allow them to work together in a way in all the moments of the game to not concede and to go on and score at least 2 goals to get the results that they're looking for. I think, as we discussed yesterday, I think the group of players that Jamaica have at the moment, the quality of the players that Jamaica have, especially in attack, I think a 4-3-3 system is what would allow them to get the best out of those players. That's just my opinion. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that. If it has changed since yesterday, so to speak.
But my philosophy is that I don't care how many good forwards you have, they have to get the ball.
Right.
And you have to get the ball in a position where it gives them the best chance to be successful. So if I don't have midfielders to get them the ball, because you can't always try to bang the ball from the defense to the forward, probability or possibility of the ball reaching destination is not that high. They even have people in the middle of the park who can progress the ball, take it off the defense, play it amongst themselves, and get it to the forwards, and put them in the best position to create opportunities to score. And that's going to tie into the team that he picks today. The last few times, the last window and this window, he has played 2 center forwards. And people telling me he's playing 4-2-3-1 or he's playing 4-3-3. And I'm like, that's nonsense. He's playing 4-2-4. And that doesn't give you the best chance to win. So my hope is that he plays 3 midfielders. And that then we'd be balanced in the midfield. We'll match up in the midfield with the Canadians really well if he plays 4-3-3. And I think we'll have a better chance to win.
How are we going to defend? How is Jamaica going to defend?
Well, can they defend? Let me not say that. The last time
no, I mean, you could attack in one formation and defend in another formation. So
well, the question is, what kind of? So here's the thing: he has a hybrid defensive scheme he uses, right? He attacks. He was attacking when he first came. That means he defensively was using the press, right? He was forcing the opposition to make decisions. So he's defending using the press and marking up all of the field. Then as his tenure progresses, it's more of a hybrid press with his forwards, but his midfielders and his defense are not really pushing up. So it's not really good because you create gap in behind. So I don't know how he's going to defend. You can defend one of 4 main ways, and then there's hybrids within those 4 main ways.
Yeah, but in your opinion, when you look at the quality of the when you look at the quality of the roster, in your opinion, Because I've heard people at times talk about some players don't defend, some players don't want to defend. How do you think? What formation you think would best?
I think if you are, it's interesting. If you're going forward, it's 4-3-3, right? That's how you're going to attack, and you're going to attack by not directly like we do. We go direct. We go defense to forward. I think you progress the ball through the midfield to go forward, right? When I'm defending, if I'm him, I want to say we should be aggressive and press. But here's my concern. Canada has the same athletes we do, similar athletes we do, and Canada has people who possess the ball really well. So if I press them and they get behind my first line of press, am I in trouble with a slow center half on the left, a very aggressive center half on the right, whether it's Bernard or Lowe, a right back who's young and impressionable? Is that the best way to play? Or do I not do low block, right? Not do low block, but a hybrid of that. I allow them to get to the second part of their half of the field, and then I push up. So I push up, but I'm cutting the field off between my 18 and just over their half line.
So if you notice, let's take this as an example. I believe you got to be brave in football. That's my belief. You got to be fearless. And I think Jamaica, with Jamaica's roster, they can afford to be fearless. If you notice, in between the two Trinidad games, there are two different approaches. One was the starting 11.
One was low block. One was low block.
Right. Yeah. So just and then last night it was a little bit more aggressive. Yes. And it reaped rewards. And I think with Jamaica's roster being more aggressive and pressing, and maybe with the intent of winning the ball high up the pitch, and maybe in a 4-4-2 shape. Okay.
Here's the problem you have. No, here's the problem you have though, Andre. So in your Trinidad team, I think everybody's committed, and they don't have any stars, so it's easier to mold them, right? Especially given the older players didn't come into the team. The Jamaica 2 wingers are not the most defensive-minded players, so it's hard to do 4-4-2 press. Because my 2 wingers are not going to be pressing really hard. Gray doesn't like to play defense, and people may not believe he doesn't. He does it, not wholeheartedly and not well. And Bailey doesn't like to play defense. Neither of those 2 wingers are really defensive-minded. Bobby Reid does, and Bobby Reid does it. So if Bobby Reid is playing on one of the wing, yeah, you can probably cheat on the other side for the other winger. But I don't think Bobby Reid is going to play the wing. I think Bailey and Gray are going to play the wings. So the question, can I really use 4-4-2 press when my 2 wingers are not really making you uncomfortable on the ball? So people don't realize sometimes is this, which is, if I stay off you, then yes, I'm going to mark the people who are back. The person with the ball have more room to make decisions, right? So it's how well I cover those zones when the person has the ball and not getting pressure. But if I put pressure on the ball, the person has less time to make decisions, but I have to be very careful behind me as to what that entails. So if my wingers are not pressing up, what do I do then? I'm going to be vulnerable in some respects.
So I'm saying this, it would be unfortunate if you have 2 players in your squad that refuses to press.
I don't say they refuse. I say it's not part of their DNA. So therefore,
they're professional footballers, and if that's what the coach wants, that's what the coach wants. I mean, at the end of the day, if he's got to pick a team that will allow him to give him what he wants. I don't know where you are on that.
No, look. Here's my philosophy on that, Andre, which is when you have real competition for places, not pseudo competition, real competition, meaning Andre is playing right wing, and Andre knows Kroenke is behind him, and Kroenke is just as good as him, but he got the nod. And Andre knows if he doesn't play well, Kroenke is coming in for him. He doesn't do what the coach tells him. You can then do some latitude in how you operate, which is do what I tell you. If you're not doing it, you're out of the game. Every player wants to play. We don't have that. We don't have replacement for Gray and for Bailey. We just don't. So they can do things, or they can not adhere to what is being. Not that I'm saying that they're not doing it, but I don't see that vigor in their defense as I see in their offense. And if I don't have replacement for them, direct replacement, meaning you don't play well, you come out of the game, I don't see how you mandate or force them to do it. And by the way, yeah, Mr. United, thank you. If you're in the stream and it's 93 people and I see 37 likes, that's not a good thing. Come on. Unless you don't like what Andre and I are talking about. I'm not trying to bad you up, by the way. I'm just asking you, please, to press the button. Press the like button. Andrea begs. You can't even hear him because he mute himself. He's begging mute him. I'm begging out loud. So go ahead.
So maybe they don't like the content. That's a possibility. Look, it's I don't know. These are professional footballers, and the coach, as we mentioned yesterday, is responsible for the result, for how the team play. Sorry, the players are responsible for their individual performance. And if the coach says that this is what is needed to get success, so let's just suppose, what are his options? If he decides that the way we defend is critical to having success tonight, the way Jamaica defend, if, as a coach in general, forget Jamaica. If a coach decides, hey, this is how we're going to defend because this is what is successful, this is what's going to make us successful, and you have 2 or 3 players in your team that is not willing to do it, do they get into your team?
It depends.
On?
And here's why. It depends. So if I have 2 players, one is excellent and one is okay. When one's excellent offensively, the other is okay. One is the okay is excellent defensively. The offense is okay, and it's a forward position. The excellent forward is playing. The one offensively is playing. I'm sorry, but I need goals.
Right. So how do you adjust your defensive style to accommodate them?
Well, I may not be as aggressive, frankly, because I'm gonna have gaps that I can't be as aggressive as I may want to be, because I'm gonna have gaps.
But you decided the way to win the game, because if they don't score and you can lose, you have examined their style of play and you decide, if I press them, it's going to work in my favor. How do you resolve that?
Well, no, what I would do is say to the players, look, guys, you have a chance to play next year in Copa America. In order for us to win, I'm begging. Well, no, it's a motivation. Okay. It's a different form of motivation. Look. Yeah. There's no equality in life. Let's get that clear. This whole concept that, we're all equal, it's all 11. No, that's not real. That's not the corporate world. That's not the social world you're working in. That's not the sports world. If you're excellent at what you do, you get a different kind of treatment than sometimes the rest of your squad. It's a fact of life. Right. So what I do, those 2 players who I know are my best offensive players, I'm going to pull them aside. I'm going to talk to them both together and say, look, I'm going to depend on you guys tonight. No pressure, I'm depending on you. But we can't win unless you 2 make sure you press the you-know-what out of those teams. And you put in all your effort to win the ball back. And what's at stake is playing against Messi and playing against Neymar after he comes back from his ACL injury, and playing against Gomares and Joel Linton and all those players, and the Nunez from Uruguay. That's what's at stake. And the Diaz from Colombia, that's what's at stake, guys. So you want that notoriety? This is about you now. You're the one playing. You get that visibility, that notoriety. It's your brand. You can't leave anything on the field tonight. You cannot. Right. That's the motivation, even though there's not in their DNA to play defense. That's my philosophy. And I would only talk to those 2 because the rest are going to do it because it's part of their game. Well, you have to talk to Bobby Reid about that. That's how Bobby Reid plays for Fulham. That's how Bobby Reid plays for Jamaica. That's how he plays. He gets everything on the field, leaves everything on the field.
So one of the conversations that I heard last night was about, I didn't hear this from the Canada game, but I heard it from the Trinidad game in the media here, that the quality of the pitch was a problem. I think
Devon said no. I heard Devon say on some program that it's the field has a good drainage system, and it should be raining, but it should be good. He said, "I don't know."
Which field? In Jamaica?
Where they're playing tonight? No, where they're playing tonight.
Oh, okay. And there was complaints about the pitch last night and how that affect the game and whatever the case may be. The pitch in Jamaica is certainly different to the one that they're going to play on tonight. That could play.
Every pitch is different from the one in Jamaica. The one in Jamaica, they tried in Jamaica, but it was digging up. Bailey made a turn, and the whole place where he was lift up in the airs. Dexter was slight. The pitch is not great.
But remember, there's somebody. It must be on a scale of 1 to 10. I don't know where it ranks, but there's somebody from CONCACAF that goes in and check the pitch and make sure that is at least suitable.
And also, he also needs to know the game needs to be played.
Right,
regardless.
the game needs to be played.
So he can don't like the pitch all he wants. The game has to be played.
Right,
and it has to be played in Jamaica. Yeah, exactly.
One of the things that is coming back to mind as you look at these games, you look at Canada performance in Jamaica recently, you look at US performance last night, and it is clear at this moment that the new format for World Cup qualifiers doesn't do the region right, because these are the games. The game last night showed how difficult it is to go away and play, right? And I think for World Cup qualifiers, it happens all around the world. I think these Mexico and America and Canada and all these teams that doesn't have to be a part of the early stages, they should be allowed to experience that.
Yeah.
And I think they might be losing an opportunity to also develop the game, because to play in those difficult conditions is what help players develop at times, right? So I think tonight, Jamaica need 2 goals. That's it. And not concede.
Nah, Jamaica needs 3 goals. Because we're going to concede. We don't know not to concede. We don't know how not to concede.
Hopefully Lowe is back tonight. And
so you know what? Let's do that. Let's pick the team, because you picked a team the other day, which I like. So we're going to pick your team. Let me bring this in, actually. It's a good segue. By the way, people, we're here for an hour. Andre and I come back at 6:45 this evening. So all 99 of you, come on this channel. If you like the content, I say that not too loud, because you may not like the content. If you like the content, come back at 6:45. Andre and I will be doing a watch along. And I liked Andre's team very much that he had the other day. So I'll put back his team up. You had a 4-2-3 one, right?
No. I had a 4-3-3.
A 4-3-3? They don't have 4-3-3. So I don't know why we don't have 4-3-3 here.
But the way you had it could work as a 4-3-3.
Yeah, it's 4-2-3-1. So we'll do that, right? So you had Blake in goal. So people, you can pick your team that you want, but I'm gonna put up Andre's team that he and Kyle agreed with last time. I think we had Blake in goal. We had Mr. Greg at left back. Why is my team thing messing up? Then we had Pinnock inside. You can pick your team in the chat, and we can bring up your team also and see how that measure up to what Andre's team was. I think Andre's team was a very good team, actually. He convinced me after I saw his team. You had Lowe here. I know some people are not supportive of Damian Lowe, but I think he's going to be in the team. I don't see how he's not in the team. So that was the defense. Where's Dexter? So this was Andre's goalkeeper and defense. Let me know what you think of this. He had Blake in goal, which is no-brainer. Greg Lee, Pinnock, Damien, and Dexter as the defenders. Then in the midfield, I think you had DJ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you had DJ. I can't spell. I'm spelling Johnson separate from what it should be. So we had Daniel Johnson, and then you had Latiberdier, right?
Yeah.
Even though I had Hector, but I don't think that's even possible because the coach doesn't know him. Why isn't Lati coming up? I'm always having trouble spelling Latiberdier's name.
It's I think it's spelled Latibeau.
Well, I had that.
Diere.
Diere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had those two in midfield. Then I think you had Bobby Reid here.
Bobby Reid, yeah. Uh-huh.
So that was a midfield, which I think is a 3-person midfield, which we need. So I'm supportive of this construct, which is DJ, who can play the 8, even though it's a CM in his team. Would I play Lati? Not what I've seen, but I think he's going to play Lati because he's played him every game. He's played these two every game. He's going to play them again. So that's going to be a midfield. And then I think the front three picks itself, given that Antonio is out. So Gray would play left, because he's back, and I saw an interview with him. He's raring to go. He recovered quickly from his injury, by the way. It's amazing how we can recover from these injuries sometimes. Why am I struggling? Shamar. And then we have Bailey. So I'm very, I am supportive. So this is the team that Andre had. Let me know what you think of this team. Give this team a rating. This is a team that Andre and Kyle, mainly Andre, had put together last time we met yesterday. So what are your views on this team, everyone in the chat? Let me hear your view. Who would you keep? Who would you replace? What is your, out of 10, what's your marking for this team? So we have...
And look,
go ahead.
Before the start, Mark, the in a 4-3-3, I think is the best way. You have two very good wingers in Gray and Bailey. And a 4-3-3 provides the opportunity to isolate the outside back. And I'll bet on Bailey any day in a 1v1 situation, or Gray. All right.
Right.
And they're both, on the opposite side of the pitch in terms of Bailey left-footed, and on the right side, he can go inside, which creates space for people to get in the attack and really be aggressive in trying to create goal-scoring opportunities. And I think with Shamar's ability, his physical strength, his speed, with the wide players, that also creates space for him, a lot of space for him in the middle of the pitch, so that he have the opportunity to drop towards the ball, to go away from the ball. There's a lot of things can happen in this formation, and I think this strengthen this, for me, this formation would make the best use of. I think Bailey can be limited, or even Gray, if they're in the middle of the pitch. From what I've seen of him throughout his career so far, put him in a position to isolate outside backs, I think is what he probably would relish the most.
So I'm gonna say something. So those in the chat, please put your grading. And for those in the chat who are, we used to call in Jamaica, not trius, so don't stop trius. Just talk football. Stop having disagreement. I won't call any names, but you know who you are. Stop trius and just put your score up and talk football. So if you know what trace mean, I'm sorry for you. What's the score? So I see a 9.5 from Vinsky, which is a wonderful grade. So Vinsky is supportive of this team. I wonder why Vinsky never just give you at a 0.5. Does he think another player should be there?
Maybe you want to play with 12.
Vinsky give you 9.5. He took 0.5 off. He just can't get a 10. If you like the team, please put your grade up. But no, I think there's a team you guys pick, and I think it's a good team. It's a balanced team.
So Gang's talking in a comment is saying that I think he's saying he give it a 6 because he wants to see a new face. That can be a good reason for.
But if there's only one face, then it shouldn't be a 9. If there's only one face.
we got to give a football.
Gray's a new face from the last game. Gray didn't play the last game, so that's your new face. So Gray's replacing Stewart or Antonio.
And Damon Lowe didn't in the last game either.
Yeah, Jarvis Paris to say a 9. I think it's a good key. I would give it a 9 too, actually.
You got to say 10.
Why do I give it a 10?
Your mind told you 10. Your mind told you 10, and you give it.
No. My mind told me 9 because Hector should replace Lati. Because I've seen Hector play midfield. I have never seen Lati make a 40-yard pass. I've seen Hector make 40-yard pass on the dime. Even when he played center half of Jamaica the other day, he played the ball through the midfield, he played the ball to the right back, and he played the ball up front to his destination.
What do you think about Neo's question here? Neo is giving it the 8. He's saying, he's asking, is Johnson a defensive liability?
I think he puts in the effort. He's not the best defensive midfielder or defending midfielder, not defensive, because that's not his normal position. But I think he puts a foot in, actually. I think he puts a foot in. J. Ross, what don't you like about the team, J. Ross? You said a 7. RJ says 9.5. Vinsky says K. Roy for Anderson. You mean K. Roy and Anderson are the same person, Vinsky? You mean K. Roy for Lati, I would assume. I would play Hector at the camp to Dr. Hero. I agree with that view, actually. I think Hector, with his size, with his passing ability, with his defensive skills, because we don't have a true defensive midfielder, because Latty doesn't play CDM. Latty's all over the place. Sometimes you see Latty pressing where Bobby Reid is into that picture, and he's wide open and behind him. And we're not pressing up that far to close that gap. And we don't have the speed. Well, Lowe's in there today, so we have low speed to cover if he does play.
So let me ask you a question. You, in the earlier conversation, and today is not the first time you would hear people talk about the midfield and the defensive midfielders and who, but you also talk about there's a couple of players that don't want to defend, that are not good defenders. Does the action of these players affect the defensive midfielders?
We don't have the defensive
midfielders. Because what you do as a group is important,
we don't have the defensive midfielders. You mean the midfielders who are defending? There's a difference.
Right, the midfielders who are defending, but you also mentioned forwards that don't defend. So you mentioned Gray, for example, that doesn't like to defend. That's what I've been hearing. So
well, I think my wingers, look, Gray and Beatty don't like to defend, and no one can convince me otherwise. I've watched them, especially Gray, frankly. Even though Beatty's been doing more at Aston Villa, he's been forced by Emery to do more of it. So it's becoming something that he's now doing more of. Gray does it, but it's not what he does. So what happens here is that if you defend from right at the half line, it makes their life easier. They don't have to run the full length of the pitch, right? If you are pressing and the ball gets behind, they have to chase back, it becomes more difficult. So it depends on what defensive strategy you employ. Do I press? And sometimes you can press and rest, You can press and the ball go behind you. You're just like, you know what? And that's it. I'm not going to kill myself to get back. I mean, but you'll be vulnerable doing that. Depending on how the other team, if they go direct, it's different versus they go through the lines. Go ahead. Sorry.
If you're scoring goals, sometimes you can consider the other side of the game and try to come up with a way. You get a little bit more to some players to try to deal with that. And I think, but you can't have 2 or 3 people who's not willing to defend. So
you can do what Obama used to do for Arsenal, which is he would run to the man and the ball plays behind him and he just walks the rest of the time, right? When Obama was playing for Arsenal, he would run hard to the goalkeeper or to the first person at the ball. When he plays behind him, that's it's done. His run is done. You can fake it, but if you want to press really well, you have to be willing to run 3, 4, 5 times at a sprint if you're going to do an aggressive press. Now, Dre the Weather is saying, Andy Latty, I am totally, well, I say Hector, Dre, but I don't see Latty in my midfield either. So I agree with you. But I think that the coach is set on this back 7, frankly. I think he's set on his back 7. And the 3 people up top pick themselves. So only Reid's position be open and Bobby Reid's going to play either way. So I think this is the team. I don't see another team.
Well, the coach can't be set because if Damian Lowe was sick the last game, you don't have him, right? So
no, I'm saying he's set. Damian Lowe didn't play the game in the last window, that game, because he had made 2 horrible mistakes the game before. But he's a fixture in the team. He's going to play. He's a fixture in the team. So he didn't play the last game because of illness. He'll play this game. But I'm sure he recovered. He had a flu, I think, or it wasn't a physical injury. So he's going to play.
Well,
I don't see him not playing. But I agree with Dre. By the way, Dre, how are you doing? Haven't seen you in a while or speak to you in a while. Hope things are well with the family. Neo is saying with Johnson and BR in the middle, it can be a defensive problem. I don't think Johnson is a strong defender and BR doesn't defend. Latty won't enough to hold the middle. Well, but Latty's people don't realize, what's Latty's game and how he functions in midfield. He's all over the place. You can't tell where Latty's playing. He doesn't play positional football. And it's not like he has a roaming license, so therefore he doesn't have to play positional. I don't see Latty. I don't think Latty has the skills to be a midfielder. You need something. Either you're a CDM where you can break up play, you can progress the play, you can recycle the play, or you're a box to box where you have all the attributes defensively, offensively, or you're an attacking midfielder who can break the lines, who can split the defense with a pass. That's why I struggle with Bobby Reid there, because that's not Bobby's game. Okay, but so Bobby's a hard worker, so he'll help.
So let's look at this. The coach job is probably harder than we think then, Because if we are saying that Daniel Johnson, Bobby Reid, Damari Gray, Leon Bailey, that's 4 players. If the public is saying that those guys don't defend or don't want to defend, however they're phrasing it, then who's going to replace Bobby Reid?
There's no. Let me just say this. Those 3 players will play. There's no doubt in my mind.
But that's what I'm saying. So
we don't have any replacements for them.
So what's your expectation then? If this is a game that you can't,
I expect the exact team you have there to be the team.
And when I picked it yesterday, I think the team could be successful, but I'm having a hard time buying in. I'm having a hard time buying in that Jamaica cannot, the coach cannot get these guys to defend.
No, I'm not saying can't get to defend. I'm saying that's not part of that's not in their DNA, right? So
as I said, but they have to do it.
Well, they have to. Well, if they want to win, they have to.
They have to do it.
If they want to go to the next round without having to play in the loser, I'm calling it the loser series. They don't play the loser series.
You can't call it that because we are already there, so don't call it that.
I rest my case. If you are going to play the next series, then they need to do it tonight to win, right? They can beat Canada. They have the players to do it. If there's this team, which is a team that you picked yesterday, and which I'm coming around to, except for Lati, by the way. I'm not coming around to Lati. Can't get me to come around to Lati. I think that's a Hector Anderson.
Maybe his performance tonight will get you to buy him.
No, it's not what he does. He doesn't understand the position. First of all, have you ever seen Lati dip his shoulder and move the ball forward without even touching the ball? Have you ever seen him dip his shoulder in any game you watch him? Dip his shoulder, go towards the ball, dip his shoulder, and move upfield. You ever see him do that? Ever?
I try to remember a player. I think it's the best midfielder you have available for you. He plays in the championship, but I don't think he was in the last window. He's got dreadlocks. What's his name?
Powell, I think.
Is it Powell? He's got dreadlocks?
I think so. Yeah. The one that Palmer, sorry, not Powell. Palmer.
That guy, I believe, is probably the best midfielder you have available to you.
Yeah, it's Palmer you're talking about. Yeah.
Why is
he didn't come? He hasn't come for the last 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, he came the first window. He hasn't come back actually. No, I don't know actually. Good question.
Yeah, I followed him a little bit, and I think he's a very good midfielder.
By the way, Dr. Hare is saying we would get more from Hector and CDM. I think Dr. Hare has been watching this football for a while. I agree with him wholeheartedly about Hector and the CDM. I watched Hector up close in 2021 in Orlando. I was impressed with Hector in the midfield, playing beside Speedy, actually. I thought they did really well, and I thought Hector showed me some attributes I didn't think he had, because I used to be a person not in Hector's corner, and I came around after watching him for a while and realized that he has certain attributes which are not reflected in the current team in terms of his defensive skill, but also being able to progress the ball. So, but he's not going to start there because the coach hasn't seen him play there, and he plays defense for his team. So I don't think the coach is even considering him there. Anderson is an option, but he's young. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure the coach also factored that in his equation. You're going to play in a hostile environment, a very good team. You need a win. He may not be deemed the solution. He's played Lati all for the last 3 windows. And he's formed a combination with Lati and DJ. Don't ask me what that combination is, because they're there. I don't see them linking up a lot, but they form a combination. So I'm sure that's part of his thought process, and he will be. I don't know what the team is going to be, but the team you have here to me resembles the one that you had. The same thing you had yesterday is what we are talking about now. I think it was a good prediction on your part. So we'll see if this is a team that we have that starts the game. But I would replace Lati with Hector, and I may even play Lati at right back. Frankly, give me plays in the back 3 for his team. So, but I think Dexter will start.
Yeah, I think if the out of possession, if the 3 in the middle, if the 3 in the middle does their job properly in terms of protecting the 4 guys behind them out of possession, look, at the end of the day, you got to score more goals, at least 2 more goals than Canada to win the game, and you certainly have in the 4 players in front there the ability to do that. So
So people, we're an hour into the program. We have 120 people on the stream. We have 65 likes. Don't tell me you don't like it, because you're communicating, you're engaging. So just hit the like button. All you gotta do is press the button and pretend. Just close your eyes and press it. It's not gonna kill you. Just press the like button. It's a good thing if you press it, because more people then get to watch the program, which I think is a good thing. But I like the team you have here. Hopefully, it's the starting team with Lati being moved out and Hector moving. Hopefully that's the team. But it's a good-looking team. I think we have a very aggressive low with a very measured Pinnock. Last time Pinnock got shut up a little bit. His lack of speed, because David's got around him. Remember that in the first half when he ran past him and Greg Lee recovered and disrupted David. So we got to be careful with that. I think low aggressiveness may be needed tonight, because Canada's a good team and some physicality is needed. I think Bobby Reid in the middle will give us a lot of defensive push up front, and then he has a shot on him. So hopefully, between DJ getting the ball, I'm not sure Lati's going to be a supplier. I think Pinnock will go long quite a bit to Gray, which would be good, and to Bailey. So it should be a good thing. Yeah. And we haven't talked about Nicholson, by the way. We haven't talked about Nicholson, who had a horrendous Gold Cup, but who has played up and down. He wasn't that effective last game apart from scoring. It's part of my concern also. He doesn't. But if you're 6'4",
listen to what you just said, Cronky. Cronky, hold on. Right. What is the job of a number 9 in attack?
A lot of different things, by the way. And I'm surprised you asked me that question, because I know you were in a football academy. So you want to go through what he should be doing? You want to go through all the things he should be doing? Apart from scoring goals?
He's got to make runs in between and behind the defense to score goals and or create goal scoring opportunities. And he did score a goal. That's what you want.
And it's from a set piece.
That's okay. That's okay.
So here's my view. Here's my view as a forward.
If he didn't, the score would have been 2-0. Right?
Yes, I agree. And he didn't get, by the way, he didn't get the chances that others got in the game, right? So I agree. He did score.
Yeah, his job is to score goals, and sometimes they're very good. We've seen strikers, the top striker in the EPL at the moment. Sometimes you get on the ball twice, right? You got to be clinical.
So here's my problem with him the last game. So let's go into it, because you asked what the fact should be doing. First of all, he wasn't holding up the ball well. His control was off. He wasn't holding up the ball well. He wasn't bringing his midfielders into play, even though they're always a little bit far away. He didn't bring his wingers into play. He wasn't getting in. He wasn't slanting his run so he can get in behind and give his midfielders his right or left winger options. I could tell you about 20 things he didn't do well in that game, which was concerning. Didn't link up with his other partner up there, Stewart. There was no linkage. So he needs to do better.
Right. So today is the day of the game.
Right.
And we must believe he will do better today. No, if he doesn't,
this is me.
If he doesn't,
I'm hoping he does better, much better.
If he doesn't, you could beat him tonight and tomorrow. Okay.
Actually, I don't want to. You know what? I'm not into the beating. Well, I do it, but I'm not into beating. I don't like to beat. Right. Nobody likes to be beaten. So why would you like to beat anybody if you don't like to be beaten, right? I don't like to be beaten. But I will have to provide an objective perspective on his performance. That's the way I view it. I don't call it beating.
He'll be good tonight. I
hope he's excellent tonight. Look, I've watched him play for quite a while now. The kid has ability. He's not a kid anymore. He's mid-20s. He has ability, right? But that ability is in spurts. It's not being shown up holistically. It's not shown up for an entire game, entire series. You see snippets of it, small amount of it. So, Andre, please rate him Duckland with his criticism of me, because he does it continuously. Duckland, please look in the mirror. And don't look into a blank wall as your mirror. Look into a real mirror, Duckland. Because I am calling out what I see. Okay, Duckland, I'm going to ask you the question. Apart from the goal, how did Nicholson play in the last game? Give me your honest opinion. So I'm trying to see you beating me. See, he's beating me now. You see that? That's what I'm talking. That's why I like to get beaten. I don't like to get beaten because I like to get beaten.
Let's hear what he comes back with.
Yeah, I want to hear how Nicholson didn't play well. I'm being frank. Pinnock had a very good game in the first 20 minutes and made a couple of horrendous mistakes. Got dribbled by real badly by Davids. And then that goal, that first goal, Andre, if these were your people in your academy, that's criminal. Between him and Greg Lee standing there, the player controlled the ball from 40 yards away in the air. First of all, he should be controlling that ball. Should be pressured. Bring the ball down, spun between both of them, and able to play the ball on the ground to the far post. That's criminal as a defender. That's basic defending. So it's not about just Nicholson, Duckland. There are more people to be taking the task for. And frankly, I thought Bailey did well to get his opportunities. But I won't talk about what he did when he got them. But he did well to get his opportunities. He got 3 of them. So he was in the right place at the right time, but with not the right outcome. So you know what I'm going to do, Andre, since I'm taken aback by Duckland's criticism? I'm going to use euphemism. I think Nicholson can play a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think he can improve. You know, notice I didn't say not good enough. I never said he's not good. I said the kid had ability. So I'm going to use euphemism. I'm going to say I think I would love Nicholson to improve his game and bring his players in. I would love Pinnock to get some more speed. That's not happening. So I love Pinnock to position himself in a better place so he doesn't create those situations and opportunities for the opposition. But no, I'm not trying to beat anyone. That's not my goal. But I want my team to do well, but I'm going to call them out. I'm going to call them out and call out what I see. And you can disagree with me, but if my criticism seems unfair based on what I saw in the game, because I don't necessarily have the best view all the time, but I didn't think Nicholson played well. I didn't, you know what? We haven't talked about Bobby Reid, Andre, which is very funny. Why is that? We talk about almost the player, but didn't talk about Bobby Reid in that game.
Bobby Reid seemed to be one of those players that that gets the job done and does it quietly. His performance is always, I can't remember when last he had a performance that you can really criticize. I don't know, do you?
It's strange. It's almost like he doesn't exist. It's weird. No, seriously. It's like, because normally you talk about each player, right? Either they say this well, I did this, but you don't really say anything about Bobby Reid. I can't really criticize someone who maybe he's not in the game as much. I mean, when he gets in the game, he put a shift in, which he always does, or he plays the game simple. I'm not sure why. So Duckland's view is that, did you know that Nicholas was pointed out by the Canadian coach, Jamaica's main threat in the match? Wow, Duckland. So that's your rationale for how you're beating me about this? I am calling it like I see it. I saw Nicholson miscontrolling ball. I didn't see him playing link-up play. I'm just calling it like I see it. So maybe the Canadian coach he knows more than I do. He's a coach for a national team. He should give his role and responsibilities.
Look, Bobby Reid numbers is good. He's consistent. His pass completion.
Maybe that's part of it. He's a consistent player, so he's not
high. You know, he's in the high.
Yeah, he's not excellent. He's not average. He's someplace in the middle. Maybe that's why it is.
And I think that role in the middle of the pitch is gonna suit him well.
See, I think Dr. Hero, Dr. Hero, you need to show yourself because you're making some very good comments. And because they're agreeing with what I'm saying. Because he said Nicholson has not played like when he got his first call. He was taking on defenders. I agree with that, actually. He hasn't played. I've seen him play for quite a bit now. The Gold Cup, he wasn't that good. His last series of game, he's being okay. And this last game that he played, he scored, but you were playing at your house in the office. You're 6'4". You should be bullying. Antonio bullied defenders. He played 15, 20 minutes, and you could see his presence, even though he didn't score, but you could see him bullying defenders. If you're that big, defenders should be afraid to come beside you.
I think if they play in a 4-3-3, it gives them more space to play with. It's probably going to be less direct and give him more options. And that's might be his opportunity to perform to the level that you expect to see him at.
Right. So I'm going to look at Bobby Reid tonight, by the way. I'm a spot cam on Bobby Reid because I'm surprised I don't have more to say about the player. But James is saying he disappeared because he doesn't do much. Bobby hasn't shown as much as he should for Jamaica. He's good against Caribbean teams. Yeah, I want to see more James. I'm going to watch him closer tonight, actually, because I can't recall coming down Bobby's game over the last series of games. And normally you'd have something very positive to say, or you may have, I'm going to call it suggestions for improvement, since people say I'm critical for some of these players. And I can't say Bobby should improve or he's great, because I haven't seen enough. And he's playing the entire game too, which is interesting.
These guys are professional footballers, and I've not heard in any of these conversations anybody pick a midfield that everybody is happy with. And you keep hearing that the problem is in the midfield. The problem is in the midfield.
The problem is the problem. Well, I wouldn't say the problem. We have challenges everywhere, right? But midfield is much more pronounced. So, and it's because we're using two midfielders, and that exacerbates or worsens the situation, right? So think about it. Last game, we gave up 2 goals, and we gave up 4 or 5 big chances. So it could have been 6 by Canada, frankly. But, our left winger in that game had 3 clear-cut chances, and we scored a goal. So it could have been 4 on our end. So I don't think we had any other chance from those 3 clear ones that our left winger got in that game. So I would say, but we didn't really create anything on the ground. That's another thing from open play. Apart from the direct play, how many times have we take the ball in midfield, for example, or from a defense and walk it up the field and create a chance? We don't really do that, which is interesting.
I would say that the quality of that game was affected by the fact that it was postponed from the night before. And then played less than 24 hours. Less than 12 hours after.
So Dr. Hero is saying that Bobby is told it does what he's told, so he does his job basically, or it's a signed job is what I'd say. But hopefully, Bobby, look, the team, I'm sure, are very motivated. I'm sure they're disappointed about the last game. They're going to play in a better field, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the surface.
It's going to be cool, very cool, but they're accustomed to that.
Well, it's not very cold. It's 2 degrees Celsius. Isn't that about 30-something degrees Fahrenheit? It's 30-something degrees Fahrenheit. That's not the worst weather. If it was 5 degrees Fahrenheit, I'd be concerned. English players are used to playing in 40-degree temperature, 45, 35, 45, so they should be okay. And the Jamaican players, all of them play overseas, and they're playing in similar weather, so they should be okay. This is not like the Jamaica team where it's all local players and you start getting concerned at 60 degrees and 50 degrees. All these players should be accustomed to similar weather, so it shouldn't be a problem. Even Damian Lowe, who plays in Miami, he plays in Philly now actually, has played in weather which is less than optimum.
It can be a cold place.
Yeah, Toronto can be extremely cold. I don't think it's the worst weather tonight.
I think the most important thing is that the surface is good. If the surface is good, I think that's the most important thing. I think those guys are pros and they're playing in that kind of weather and they'll deal with it.
And the English player playing rain every single day almost.
Yeah.
Rain is innate to where they live, so that shouldn't be the worst problem for them. I think I'm more concerned about the play on the field, the players' readiness for the game. I hope Gray doesn't have an injury which can reoccur in a very hostile environment and a very challenging environment, because sometimes the physicality of the game and the speed of the game can affect whatever injuries you think you have overcome. So hopefully that's not the case. And I think if he gets some of the chances which we got last game, he'll get them on target. Would he score? Maybe, but he'll get them on target at the minimum. So that should help.
Well, let's see what happens. We've been more than an hour now.
So we're an hour and 50 minutes in. We're going to spend about 5-10 more minutes on this podcast. I would say this, which is at 6:40. By the way, let me just say this again. Please hit the like button. It's 122 people in the chat. 122. We have 76 likes. We want to get it up to 150. So hit it. If you hit it twice, it doesn't count though. But please hit the like button. Second, we're back at 6:45 p.m. Me and my co-host Andre are going to be here to talk you up to the game at 7:30, and then we do a watch along, and then we'll come back for another 30 to 45 minutes after that game to do a post-game review, and hopefully it's a happy one not a one where we're concerned and we're expressing displeasure. Let's hope it's one we're all happy and we're talking effusively and positively about the outcome. All right. So, Andre, any last words before we conclude? And I can go probably take a power nap to come back at 6:45.
No, good luck to the team tonight. I mean, hopefully somebody from the region must represent in Copa America.
So I'm gonna say, go ahead.
We still have a chance, and hopefully it's both teams. But somebody must represent. So good luck tonight.
So I remember the team. I'm taking a picture of the team that you had from yesterday because I did pull it up. But I'm gonna take a picture because I want to compare it to what the team. Let's see how good your prognostication is. Let's see how good you predicted this team. So I'm gonna take a picture of it and then see if this team reflects of what the coach picked. I am suggesting he should have picked Hector versus Lati. That'll be my only change, actually. I do think we need some pressure in the middle. I think Bobby Reid is so defensively minded, and he has some offensive ability. He's the most versatile player on the team that he should play the 10 and be really pressuring the CDM for Canada and the midfielder. So hopefully he plays there and is effective. But I will say that I'm very optimistic about. Somehow I'm more optimistic about tonight than I've been with us playing away in any game. Frankly, maybe because Gray's back and I expect him to do well. Maybe because I know our left winger, not the right winger, missed some opportunities last game, so he'll come back focused. Nicholson scored the last game, so he should have some confidence from his goal, even though I think his open play can improve. Bobby Reid, I'm sure, is going to be motivated. And Lowe comes back in, and my only hope for Lowe is that he played with composure. I like Lowe as a player, but I do think he's so rash, and he's a very mature player and a very seasoned player. He should go let your midfielder do the dirty work, and you cover up versus trying to do it by yourself. So let's hope he puts in the shift, and Blake always does what Blake does, which is play well. So everyone, thanks for joining us. Before you
go, you might need to do some mediation. There's something brewing in the comment section. You might want to mediate.
But you didn't hear what I said. Stop tracing. You know what tracing is? That's almost like a derogatory term for two men arguing. Men should not be arguing. Men should not be arguing. Men should not be going back and forth in a chat section. They should just agree to disagree and move on.
Yeah.
We could do the same arguing when we're here and Duckland is beating me. I could take it personal. Why would I want to take it personal? It's his perspective. People in life, compromise seems to be a very negative word in our community. Compromise is optimum for anybody in any situation. If you want both people to walk away from a situation having dignity, feeling respected, and feeling that they have value. Don't let people walk away from an engagement, a discussion, feeling like, you know what, they want nothing to do with you. It's not a good look. That's not life. If you want to feel well about yourself and good about yourself, you want someone to engage you to feel good about themselves, you can't have them engage with you and walk away saying, I will never talk to that person ever again. Or using derogatory terms and trying to belittle them. That's not a way to engage and be as people. So my suggestion is if you have a disagreement in the chat, say, you know what, we agree to disagree and move on. And next time we meet up, we'll have another conversation. And we may not agree still, but you know what? If we all agreed, life would be so boring. You would have no adverse opinion to yours. You'd have a yes, yes, yes person. And who wants that, right? And frankly, we don't all see things from the same view. I could see something and say, VAR is wrong. I say VAR was right. That's what makes the world go round. That's what makes life good. So people, come here, have good conversation, agree to disagree. But the main thing is let's go support our team tonight. If you're in Canada, go to the game if there are tickets available. Go support your team. It's great to be in the game, atmosphere and environment. Wonderful place to be. So go there, support your team, have fun. And those of you who are not at the game, come back at 6:45 today. Sit down with us. Enjoy the football. And we'd love to have you, by the way. And as you vacate this stream, just hit the like button. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you. And I appreciate the time spent with you. All right? Have a good evening. And we'll see you back at 6:45. Andre, my partner,
yes,
see you in a bit.
You did a good deed today. You reached someone, so that's good.
All right, that's good. All right, thanks. All right, bye.
Yo, watch your bad dog. SK New heard this. The body out there. Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Orchard Race, Galtigo Bay. Everywhere. I Am Sure Sports. Check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like? Ha. Yeah, someone on for the food from young, from we day you need height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.